Second.
Who did the motion?
Roger.
Roger did, okay. Motion by Roger Spencer. So second by Don Allen to remove chapter 6A ordinances, amending chapter 240. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 7 in the affirmative, 1 absence. That has been stricken from the agenda. I need any other changes to the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion by Roger, by LaDonna Allen, second by Roger Spencer to remove, to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 7, the affirmative, 1 absent. The amended agenda is approved. Next is the consent agenda, which is approval of the minutes of the previous meeting and approval of disbursements. Are there comments or corrections to the consent agenda?
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by David Pilgrim to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 7 in the affirmative, 1 absent. The consent agenda is approved. Next is public forum. Anyone wish to speak at public forum? Last call for public forum. Very well, we'll move along then. Next is ordinances. An ordinance approving change order number 1 with Joplin Industrial Electric Incorporated.
Move it for this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Motion by LaDonna Allen, will highlight the need to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance approving change order number 1 to an agreement between the city of Carl Junction, Missouri and Joplin Industrial Electric Incorporated to complete the Frank D. Ballpark lighting project for the city of Carl Junction, Missouri. Said change order number 1 being to make safety repairs and reduce pole heights for a total decreased cost of $2,711 and decreasing the total contract cost to $109,115 and authorizing the mayor to execute said change order number 1 for and on behalf of the city of Carl Junction, Missouri.
Discussion?
Pretty self-explanatory. They had to replace some conduit and some other wiring associated with the lights, and then chop off the poles and put in the poles that they replaced, shorter poles, and so they were a lot cheaper, and so it is a net deduct on that contract.
I guess, initially there was a design kind of, and this is the coverage you'll get with lights, and that was, with the 80-foot poles, I guess, you still get the same coverage, the same lighting effect with a 65-foot pole?
Yes, it should be actually better is what they told us. At that 85-foot pole mark, they said that we were at the maximum limit for it, so it should really be better than what it was before.
Any further discussion?
Make a motion, we put it on second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Roger Spencer, second by Don Allen to put this ordinance on second reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance approving change order number 1 to an agreement between the city of Carl Junction, Missouri and Joplin Industrial Electric Incorporated to complete the Frank Dean Ballpark lighting project for the city of Carl Junction, Missouri. Said change order number 1 being to make safety repairs and reduce pole heights for a total decreased cost of $2,711 and decreasing the total contract cost to $109,115 and authorizing the mayor to execute said change order number 1 for and on behalf of the city of Carl Junction, Missouri.
Any further discussion?
Move we put this ordinance on final passage.
Second. Motion by Don Allen, second by Bob McAfee to put this ordinance on final passage. This is a hand vote to go to electronic voting. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 7 in the affirmative, with 1 absent, please vote electronically. So in the affirmative, with 1 absent, the ordinance passes. Now it's ordinance number.
2330.
Thank you. Next is administration reports. Comments for the city administrator. No comments?
It's not included in Mr. Blogger's comments on the report, but a question that I have, I communicated recently about cleanliness or cleaning in the community center. Can you give us an update on any conversation that's been had in that regard?
I checked on the contract that we have with Jana King, and it is a strict, it is to a month-to-month basis. It is not a year-long contract anymore like they used to be. Between this building and the PD that they do, it is $34,500 a year, what we budget for janitorial services. It has been years since we went out for bid to see if anybody else would be interested in it. Or at that dollar amount, you might be better off having a part-time employee, that can do it and be more responsible and more responsive to, issues that we have. I think that's a discussion that we need to have more in depth on. I walked after Mr. Pyle called me. I kind of did a walk around on it too, and I don't want to say it's looking long in the tooth, but it does. It needs some freshening up. There's areas that that we need to get repainted again that are scuffed up. And just clean, to clean the floor in the bathroom, since it's that kind of pebbly surface. We need to bring in a foam machine and scrub it and get that sucked up, and brighten that ceramic tile back up again. It's a constant battle to keep the library media center clean. It hasn't been that long ago that we actually had those carpets clean, and they need it again. It's just a high traffic area in there. There's kids in there all the time. The library has programs in there for little kids all the time. There's a couple of Girl Scout troops that meet in there. It just gets a lot of traffic in there, and so we need to look at getting those cleaned again also. So
Is that something for public facilities?
Yeah.
To meet and discuss, and then
yes, it is.
bring back?
Yep.
Anything else? I'm gonna talk about the guy that came in about the pool.
Yeah, I was going to cover that under old business. We did here. We had one. We are out for bids on a consultant for the pool. What we could, to get different options on it, what's available and everything. And one consultant came down from Kansas City prior to those bids being in. They wanted to take a look at it. My understanding is that they gave Public Works a couple of ideas about things that they could do that would be pretty cheap. They thought that in general, the facility was in pretty good shape. They kind of liked that older style setup that it was. And so I assume that they will be putting in a bid here at the end of the month. We'll get that, and we can select a consultant. But only one of the consultants, of all of them that I've sent stuff to, has made that effort to come down and look at it. I thought that showed great response from them to take that step.
Question on that.
Yeah.
At one point you said, this pool's outdated, no longer meets the current pool codes as far as sloping and things like that. So are we still talking about something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, you said fairly cheap, but still have to get it up to
Still,
current code.
I still believe, and they would probably confirm that it is going to be cheaper to repair that pool than it ever will for building a new facility. Just with the yards of concrete that are involved in building a new pool like that, concrete being $105 a yard, and when you're only going to have to replace maybe a quarter of the concrete, but it's still going to be cheaper, and I hope I can say that, it's still going to be cheaper to repair this pool than it will be to build a new one. Even if you're talking about a water park style, there's a lot of things that we could do that we could, the insurance company doesn't like diving boards. Well, you could put us on that deep end to be able to still utilize that deep end. You could put a climbing wall or a slide into that deep end of it. And those are both fully acceptable by the insurance companies. So there's a lot of things that we can do. And I hope that they have good ideas when they bring us back that stuff. So.
Anything else with city administrator? All right. Moving right along then to department reports. PD, we got a report from PD here. Anything for the chief?
Chief McCall, I noticed not this past week, but the week before in the Citizen, there was an article about code complaints. Can you give us a little insight on what you're seeing?
You're gonna have one person that's doing that, which is Officer Waymeyer, code enforcement officer Waymeyer. His plate is full, just the stuff that he gets called on, and there's not a lot of time for him to be that proactive and going and searching out more work. Of course, summertime's always extremely busy for him with all the weeds and grass and all that. We'll talk to the officers about if they see real problem spots to leave a note for Dave to check on. But still, the biggest way we get that taken care of is if a citizen does call about it or send us an email or message on Facebook or whatever.
And I wondered if staffing wasn't the complicating factor, not just obviously one code enforcement officer, but are we still down?
Yeah, we're still down 3 officers. And then, you have somebody out sick, you got vacations going on, you got court going on. And calls for service. When we got one officer on, for responding to calls, there's not a lot of time for him to just drive around looking for weeds.
Right.
Anything else with the chief? Well, let's go to public works then. Anything for Harvey? Let's see. Honestly, didn't see how many shut-offs we had.
We didn't have any in that period.
Really?
No.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, that's coming next week.
But on the bright side, we didn't have any this.
But yeah, this time. All right, nothing else, nothing for public works? Then we'll move on to committee reports, budget and finance.
I wanted to touch on something real quick. Steve Verlaine laid the information on the assessment in front of you. We only grew 1.9% in assessment. So if I have done the math correctly, between real and personal property, that's only going to increase us about $17,200 if the levy stays, with the CPI, I don't see how the auditor's office could try to force us to change our levy. But with that being said, not to be doom and gloom, we're still 5.5 months or so before we start budget work again. But people need to understand that with any cost of living increases and inflation, we're going to have to be really, really careful. We don't want to have to cut any services, so it is going to be a challenge. This is about as flat as you can get on revenue. and the costs just keep going up, as you guys know. With that being said, we finished the first quarter of the new budget cycle. I'd kind of like to get together maybe in a couple weeks, go over with the budget committee, see how we're tracking now that we're done with one quarter, if you guys would be agreeable to that. It could even be, if we don't have any other committee meetings, maybe we could just come in at 6 o'clock before the next meeting so people don't have to try to miss work during the day. If that's good with anybody on the budget committee, we'll just go ahead and set that up.
Would be the 15th.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, that way, I mean, we'll have plenty of time for discussion, unless it goes as fast as the meeting tonight. But I'd say 6 o'clock, that way if we have some other things to talk about on some long-term plan.
And you mentioned the auditor, we did get the report from them, and they are not requiring us to lower our general fund.
I would say, because this may be a year that we dug our heels in pretty good. Because a $17,000 increase isn't going to cover.
And inflation's 5%.
Yeah, real inflation's 5%, and so everybody tighten your belts. We already tightened them. They're about as tight as you can get without cutting off circulation. And that's all I have.
Anything else for budget? Code, anybody want to talk about code? You want to talk about it, Bob? Since Rick isn't here?
We had a little meeting and we agreed that we didn't want to put the ordinance in and just let it go through Steve, and like it does for here and all the other buildings.
For the smoking.
For smoking.
Bob,
Yes.
can I
Yeah,
add
yeah.
part of that for the council members who weren't there, was because I woke up to the fact that it would be a singular ordinance for one place. We handle all the other places administratively, and it would be kind of silly to single out the splash pad for this purpose and serve no real purpose. So that was the input from myself, who raised the an ordinance as possible as a way to control smoking. It is, but this isn't a good way to do it. So, yes.
Anything else for code? Human resources. Roger?
Nothing.
Nothing for human resources. Public facilities, Mike?
Put in front of you some quotes I got for a shade structure. This is, there's plenty of different places that manufacture shade structures. Getting one of them to get back with you is kind of complicated, but this is USA Shade. They're out of Farmington, Missouri, and they gave me a couple quotes. And the first one is the kind of rectangular one, 4-post. This is their quote for 2. So that price includes 2, 1 for each side of our pavilion, the 2 pads that we poured. It's just under $13,000, about $2,000 on freight to get it here. That's 15 by 20 just to cover the pad. There's another one that's the single post style. Again, price for 2 is about $21,000, $1,500 freight. There's a third style, which I didn't get a quote on. It's a little higher than the other one. It's basically just 4 posts with a tarp kind of stretched between the 4 of those to kind of create a little bit of a different perspective there. The one I actually like the best, but I don't have a quote for that. These are some questions I asked. The manufacturer here, the salesman said that you do expect it to go 20 years on the canvas, more if you take it apart or take it down over the winter. That's leaving it up year round. He thought 20 years. And these come with some quick release attachments so that we could take it down and make it last a little longer. Of course, it comes in multiple different colors. He suggested not red, as that one was kind of prone to fading a little bit, but blue or something else that would match our theme as possible. They're 8 weeks out on these, and I think that's probably pretty typical for no matter what we choose at this point, whether it's a pavilion or this or anything else, probably about 8 weeks out, which puts us right at the very end of splash pad season. So I don't know. I want to get something in. I'd like to get this going right away. We've delayed way too long on getting some shade, and that's what it is. But at this point, I guess there isn't a rush. If you want to continue to look, or if this is something that you guys like, this is kind of what I like. I like this style, but need everybody's input on this, I guess. The canvas top, you've seen them before. There's one in North Main. Roger just mentioned that the Head Start across from OCC, they have a couple little canvas ones covering their playground equipment. I think this is kind of similar to what that would be.
I haven't noticed that. I'll take a look at those. We need to do something. I agree. It's been way too long.
Is this something you think maybe, like if we wait a couple weeks and look at which we want to pull it out at? This is a good price compared to some of the other structures we were looking
Oh,
at.
yeah.
Again, there's plenty of different people that manufacture this, so I'm sure that we can get better prices. This is, and so if we want to keep looking and try to find something that just perfectly suits us.
If you talk to them again, ask them how much a replacement canvas would be too.
Absolutely. The sports style, if it's just 4 posts with a canvas stretch across, if you can just get the replacement canvas, that seems like something that we could probably make ourselves, 4 posts and stretch a canvas across the top. And so if you can just buy the canvas, maybe you get this real cheap and maybe get it in and still get it in pretty quickly. We can maybe have it up before the end of this season. So I will call them and ask about that. If that's what you guys want me to do, continue to look into this, or just say buy one now, or have it ready to vote on for the next meeting, or tell Steve to buy one now, or
I kind of like this. This one looks like it has a frame in
It
the
does.
top, which I think you need. Otherwise, I've tried to stretch canvases, and I don't care how tight I get them, they always sag, especially when it rains. It looks like it's a water basin.
Maybe push up on it.
Yeah, push up on it, they poke a little hole in it.
Yeah, especially if the wind blew and got the water.
that's
Maybe.
these are all galvanized and stainless steel, for a splash pad. So they stainless steel hardware and galvanized posts with a special zinc coating or something to keep it so it'll last long in the elements. It withstands 115 mile an hour winds with the canvas on. I don't know about a warranty.
Well, since
I just was wondering if a guy would go down to that Head Start school and find out where they got theirs.
Yeah, I can do that.
I mean, it looks a great deal like these.
Right.
That's why I'm kind of wondering.
If
Is this
you-
something we would install ourselves? Would order it and install?
Yes, this was with us installing it. Which I think you just a matter of pouring a few footings for the poles, or being able to attach the poles to the pad we already have. Hopefully it's not too complicated.
no, I think Public Works can handle that very easily.
Yeah, they ain't got nothing else to do.
Did you want to try to do some more checking and bring it up next
That's the
meeting?
question.
Or you want?
I think you might as well, because like you say, the season's gonna be over now. So we're not gonna have anything this year.
But yeah, if we could get it.
Let's
in
just
so
make
it's
sure we
ready for
really get
next
something we
year.
really want.
I agree. Do you like, I like this single post style. It was more expensive, but that was a little larger too. That was a 20 by 20. For some reason they quoted me instead of the 15 by 20. So when you get this down to maybe a little smaller, maybe a 16 by 16 or something on that single post, it may be more comparable in price.
Those single posts do look really
It just looks nice.
good.
Yeah,
And that way, when you access the pad, like off of the splash pad, onto the concrete pad, you wouldn't have those barriers. You could put the post, towards the back of it, so.
Well, I'll continue to get more information, and I'll have that for you next meeting. I'll double check. The other thing I'm working on, getting more information on, is something we talked about in the public facilities meeting, is playground equipment for Center Creek Park. And I've contacted quite a few companies, and they're sending me some booklets. I already have a booklet that I'm gonna look through. I was on vacation the last week and a half, and just so happened to cross a couple playgrounds in northern Michigan that had some real nice playground structures. And so I contacted those companies, and I'm just waiting. So I'll have something for you to look at next meeting as far as playground equipment for Center Creek. The same USA Shade company does playground equipment. It's manufactured in Monette, actually. So
That'd be nice.
probably go look at some.
Very cool.
Yeah, probably some very cool.
If these, this USA Shade, if they're in Monette, are they manufacturing these? Are they shipping them out? Could we pick them up and
This
save
company
that
is out of
shipping?
Farmington. The shades come from Texas, I believe you said. And the playground equipment comes out of Monette, so they're just a dealer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose you probably, I thought the same thing. For $2,000, I probably could load up a flatbed trailer and make it to Texas and back and save some freight. But I don't know. I'll have more options then next week, and I'll make sure I get it early enough you guys can put it in the packet and look at it later. So.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Anything else for Public Works?
Yeah, one more thing, sorry.
Go ahead.
To discuss the contract for the cleaning and things. Since Ladonna's having the first meeting, or a little bit before the next meeting, let's have a public facilities meeting just before our first September meeting, something like 6 or 6:30. We'll do 6 o'clock, I guess, probably before the first meeting in September for a public facilities meeting, if that works for everybody.
If it's a more urgent, we can push ours out till September, whichever one needs addressed first. We can flip flop those if you want to get something done. Because ours is just kind of reviewing where we're at now.
Okay, let's make
Wanna
mine
flip
next week
those
and then
around?
at 6 o'clock for the next meeting. And then have public facilities can look at and try to pick a shade structure and maybe a playground equipment as well. And we can do that and talk about the contract for that.
Public facilities then would be on the 15th.
Yeah.
And the budget meeting would be on September 5th.
That
We'll do
makes
6
more,
o'clock
that
for
makes
that.
more sense. We'll just flip ours around. It's not
Okay.
urgent.
Anything else? Anything else for Public Facilities? All right, move on. Unfinished business. David,
Those are
Bill, Mike,
No, sir.
Donna.
No, sir.
The only thing I have down here is, do you have a contract for Lakeside stuff yet? We issued an RFQ to people,
No, not yet. That's still out for bid.
but it has gone out for bid.
Yeah, it has gone out
And
for bid.
when's that get in again?
24th, I think, 24th of August is when bids are due.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I already said no, but just unfinished, in case anybody hasn't noticed, they need to go out back and look at the generator.
Yeah, that's whole business that was.
Well, you're gonna, okay, I was gonna say, whole
Thanks.
business. Well, I'm sorry, I took your thunder.
No, that's one thing I can cross off, so
Oh.
you're short.
What? Generator's in already?
It's in.
It's sitting there. They brought it today.
Already?
It looks like it, already only 16 months later. It looks like another structure
Yeah. it's
out
big.
there. I think we could live in it.
Well, that's all I have for, unfinished. Roger?
Nothing.
Bob?
Nothing.
Holly?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Talley? Lana?
No, sir.
Crystal?
No, sir.
Steve?
A couple of things, also, it was also in my report, I had the engineer revise the quote for the street widening stuff. We took Ashmore out of it. You guys requested, brought that street widening down to $367,450. Kurt got approval from Jasper County Commissioners to go ahead and talk with the Jasper County engineer about Fur Road Private Drive. So that's moving forward too. Like LaDonna said, the generator's been delivered. August 10th will be their testing and fire update.
Do you have any idea when they're gonna give us a response on for Road and Briar Brook?
I do not.
They just can't take that long. Okay. Is that it?
That's it for old business.
Mark?
Nope.
Harvey?
No, sir.
New business? Holly?
No, sir.
Bob?
Nothing.
Roger?
Nothing.
I have nothing. Ladonna?
Nothing.
Mike?
I have nothing, sir.
Dave?
I don't want to steal your thunder, but are you going to discuss the Liberty small?
Nothing.
Lena? So, Steve?
Two things. One of them we already talked about, the assessed value there and the fact that the tax levy is flat this year. We won't be raising any. The other one is a bigger, and I also like to go with that. Last year, I printed it off from Jasper County's website, the tax levies throughout the county for Jasper County, so that people know that it is not just us that's taxing them. There's other taxing entities also, and it all adds up. Laid that with you there too. The big one is though, I laid there, Liberty, Liberty, Missouri Small Business is what it should say on that packet. They came through a company called Integrity Partners. They're authorized by Liberty to do facility and energy audits. And this was for community center, well, pretty much everything. They went through and they looked at a number of lights, what needed to be replaced, what needed to be upgraded, whether it was a new fixture or whether it was just a simple bulb replacement and taking the ballast out of it using a non-ballasted LED. This is the program is that Liberty actually picks up the majority of the cost on this. If you look at page 2 of 24, they listed there, the total cost for what they came up with was $46,367. The net cost, or the cost that we would have to pay, is $12,224. They do all of the contracting, they do all of the material acquisition. There's one of the other documents you have there in the back couple of pages is the participation agreement. We would have to send that in to them. It would be because almost all of the lights, PD for example, those fixtures are from 2005, I think is when we moved in there after the tornado. They're old. Uses a lot of electric to power everything in there. This building is almost in the same shape, except that we've already done some LED replacement like we did the gym earlier this year. But it went through and it did public works, it did even the lights in the well houses, those types of things, you know. So we would get a total relamp into today's standards efficient lighting, you know, for that $12,200 for a $47,000 project.
But they also estimate that you're gonna spend $14,000 less in the first year on electricity.
Yeah.
My question is, what's the rebate?
There's no rebate on it.
That's
We
what it
just
says on
pay-
here.
We just pay that, that less amount.
You're sure of that?
The rebate, basically the rebate is that $34,000. The
Yeah,
hope is that that's the rebate.
that's what it says on it, rebates.
Yes. If you want to think of it as rebate, yes, but we're only paying $12,000. They take that other money that they get and pay their portion of the bill.
Okay.
Question,
Yeah,
So like, if you're saying, is Liberty the one that is subsidizing this, or
Yes,
can you ask this same company? Like I said, we've just done some LED conversion, the gym and above ballpark lighting. You know what I mean? Is there rebates available that?
we did, we got rebates for
Okay.
those. The ball field was, I think 17,000.
Okay.
Is what we got on it, and the gym was, I want to say $2,800, I think. But yeah, we got rebates on those, and we did. We just basically we got a check back. We just deposited the check back into those that came out of ARPA funds, so it went right back into the ARPA funds.
okay, so we're only gonna write a check for 12 grand,
Yes,
not 46, and wait to get the check back for 34.
right.
And we're gonna save 14,000 on our electric bill.
14,000 on electric bill, $2,500 on annual maintenance, and I probably spend $2,500 in light bulbs every year. That's for sure. And if you notice in here, there's one over there above Bob. It's only got one burning, and I think Holly. We're starting to see some.
Are we gonna pay when this is done or up front?
I would have to find that out.
Because if it's up front, we gotta have an ordinance, right?
Yeah.
But if we pay when it's done, we don't need one.
That's true. But you probably, this participation agreement, that's probably something you want to approve, but I don't know that you need to do it by ordinance, so let me think about that and see
Yeah,
whether we need an actual ordinance or just a motion to do that.
I think what Mr. Talley thinks about it, I can email him and see
okay,
if we can end the project.
And just maybe double confirm so we're all clear on what we're paying up front, not waiting on that. I know I had asked Steve a couple questions today because, especially with the rebate we got, we could put that out of ARPA going into this, and that would cover the cost, and then from then on, we'll have that savings that will help out our budget every year, so. Makes sense to do it. I was
Well,
kind of
yeah.
skeptical at first.
it definitely makes sense to do it.
I was a little skeptical at first when he said there's this energy efficient thing, and I was having flashes of solar panels, and we couldn't get the good figures from everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But this is,
what a waste of money.
This is
but
a
this
little
is
more
an
straightforward.
obvious efficiency,
Every time you turn the light switch on, you see your savings.
and we have had citizen complaints from different areas that the lighting's not up to par, so that would address that too.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
New business, chief, Harvey? Is there any other business before the council?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by the Donnell, somebody did by we adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Second affirmative, one absent, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much for attending.